This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Good evening. Welcome to Going Off Grid, episode 13. I'm one of your co-hosts here, Sheepbender, along with the fabulous Crypto Queen. I know it is a Monday. I know it's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm pretty sure it's May. I'm 99% sure it's May. It is May. It's actually May 18th. Yes, and I am happy to be here. Glad to help. Glad to be here, and I hope you all have had a fabulous weekend. Before I forget, I am just going to go ahead and send you an invite to speak. I am going to go ahead and get my disclaimer out the way right now because I'm going to need it. All right, now. This is not financial advice. You can lose all your money investing. This is also not for educational or entertainment purposes. I nor anyone that is speaking is a financial, political, legal, medical, betting, or any type of expert advisor. These are our thoughts and opinions on different topics only. This is being recorded for future rebroadcasts and clips on other platforms. And thank you. Crypto Queen, can we hear you?
Hey, Bender, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How are you tonight?
Hey, I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well as well. Happy Monday. I'm excited to kick this space tonight.
Yes. Exciting for the space.
Hey, and you want to share a little good news about our podcast?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going right down here on my list, and not only the podcast, but I'm also going to do a couple of community shots out. I'm going to actually post up Coach George's here in a moment. It's actually a pretty good read. That was one of our topics this week here. But in regards to inflation being at 3.8%, and I love his take on that there too as well. Also wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Lightspeed. I believe he is number 3 on Zora, as I like to call it, Zora the Explorer, but Zora Charts. So salute to those two. This one's a little bit further down. I'm just going to mention it because I remember like scrolling back, way back to find it. But lads, went on vacation. Shout out to my guy for finally taking a vacation. First off, but he got water poisoning from the local ice. So not only watch out for drinking local water, but also watch out for using the locals' ice that was made from the locals' water. I thought that was an interesting one. And then, Queen, I think so too as well. But before I go into that podcast information, did you have any community shout outs that you wanted to give?
Hey, I'll shout out to everybody still showing up. This market's been crazy, up and down, and I see folks out there just grinding every day. I want to shout out special congrats to Zach from Subway Sylvester. Their spaces are getting some really great viewership, some big names on there. I saw Gary Cardone in lately, and I saw Charles Hoskinson from Cardano. So it's been really cool to see. If you guys haven't checked them out, definitely do that. Check out their Pulse Switch app and follow them beyond the blockchain. Doing great things out there. So congrats, Zach and team.
Yeah. Also, you know what? I just remembered so many shouts out to the community here. Appreciate everyone in here. But also, I believe Pulse was just on, what was it, Crypto Twitch? What was it that you retweeted? That podcast that he did?
He's got a new podcast on Crypto Twits, which is Stock Twits' crypto section. And some really great information. He's interviewing some great speakers. And so, yeah, check that out. I'll pin it to the nest.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well. Yeah, before I get into these podcast info, you know what? Because I've been waiting to the end and people have been kind of flowing in and out the room. So I'm going to give a couple shout outs right now. Zach from Subway, Sylvester in the building, SRV, my guy, Gabby. We'll go a little bit more in depth for that, Gabby. I owe you an apology. I'm going to say it loud and clear publicly on here. Zane Zamindo, Julie the Cat, David, Nija, good to see you. Barkoshi, Appreciate you too as well. But yeah, in regards to the podcast here, we just if you've ever had a website and hooked up Google Analytics, you are officially in IT. Let me just first say that. So I'm going to salute all the IT workers out there that still got jobs, because I don't even think AI can provide that connection to your website. It is a journey. But anyway, once I did that, though, holy cow, I came back roughly a week after my meltdown crash out and just happened to check in to the stats. And I had some, okay stats, but the Google Analytics just took it to another level. So by country, I am going to shout out every country that has so far downloaded our podcast: New Zealand, Mexico, Morocco, Kenya. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Egypt, Colombia, Cameroon, Chile, Brazil, Bangladesh, Azerbaijan. Some of these I might not be able to pronounce correctly. That's okay. Armenia, South Africa, Ukraine, Malaysia, India, Germany, Dominic. Slow down, Bender. Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria, United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Switzerland, Vietnam, Japan, and leading the way, the USA. Appreciate you all 1,000,000%. And everybody out there worldwide tuning in.
That is awesome, Bender. I'm so excited. When we started this podcast, we weren't sure if, it would just be me and Bender just up here chatting away. But would love to see you guys who come in every week to support us. Really appreciate the community, and then to see it go worldwide. It's been super cool. So still small, still growing, but growing organically, and happy to be part of it. And I also wanted to shout out Gabby while we were talking about spaces. She is doing an amazing job with her seat at the table spaces. I pinned that in the nest as well. Tomorrow night, she's going to be talking about staking, how do rewards work, what are validators doing behind the scenes, and all kinds of things you should look into when you're thinking about staking your assets. So be sure to join her as well. She's growing, and I just love to see the community getting out there and doing some different things. We were kind of in a little box for a long time, and now we're growing and talking about different things, and it's just been really fun and exciting to see it. I'm proud for all you guys and happy to support.
Absolutely. Queen, before we dive into the trenches, I gotta ask. I've been meaning to ask this for a month. What happened to the Club Night Queen, Crypto Queen profile picture?
She had to I guess class it up a little bit. I had I had a pretty conservative profile picture for a long time after I changed from my PFP that was a NFT, and then I put a poll out there and asked what everybody wanted to see, if they wanted to see fun queen or serious queen, and they all said fun. So I put her up for a while, but every time I went to a space and I stared at that picture, I was like, that is not, I'm sorry, but that's not what I'm trying to represent. So I changed it back. Sorry, I'm back to the serious queen, but just more of me. So that's that.
No doubt. I was always taught by mom and fam, when a lady changes their hair, at least acknowledge it. That way somebody noticed. In regards to that insider joke, I was like, well, maybe her shoulders got a little breezy. I don't know, but
my shoulders got a little cold on that one. Yeah. I put myself out there, but pulled right back into my shell.
Right. I still remember that your personal one from the co-op. That was hilarious.
Oh my goodness. That was something to see on Spaces. I was like, no, I can't be up there trying to talk about serious stuff with that picture. Even though it wasn't me, it was just one created for me. It was still a little out there. I'm
Shoulders are definitely breezy.
I know. I'm pretty conservative in real life, and plus I'm old, so you got to consider all the things.
Oh gosh, stop it. You're fine, but I understand. No worries. All of them are good. I just, I just had to ask. I've been meaning. I missed that like four spaces straight. Uh, yeah, but yeah, let's get into it. Go ahead with your thoughts before I go off on a tangent. Next thing you know, it's an half an hour later.
Okay, this is we're going deep in the rabbit hole of this one. It's kind of back to our SHIB roots, and I said before that this was a series that I started last year, and it's kind of like my evolution through all things SHIB and kind of how my I guess spidey senses kicked in, and when I decided to start speaking out, and this was kind of one of the first ones when I started to see things were maybe not what they seemed or what we originally joined the SHIB Army for. And so it's about the corruption of power. And I start out the post by talking about Ryoshi's vision, which is we all read Ryoshi's vision back in the day, and I think that's probably one of the things that brought most of us together is just this decentralized vision where nobody's in charge, and nobody holds the keys to the kingdom. Everybody is Ryoshi, and I really identified with that at the time, and I thought this is something bigger than any one of us. Nobody is overall going to be our king. It's going to be each of us responsible for pushing this project forward. And, now thinking back in hindsight at where we are right now, it kind of, I think some of us might like to have someone in power because seems to be no one out there at all. But at the time, this is when a lot of people, or I will say not a lot of people, certain people were kind of stepping up and claiming, you know, bigger power than they should have had, and were really kind of controlling the ship in a direction that we weren't sure we wanted to go. A lot of us, I won't speak for the entire ship army, but some of us. So the lesson is about the corruption of power, and it starts by using that famous Ryoshi quote, which is, "I'm just some guy of no consequence, tapping on a keyboard, and I'm replaceable. I am Ryoshi." And it talks about how power corrupts decentralized projects, exploring Ryoshi's vision for SHIB and how the abuse of power threatens community driven projects. So, this is not necessarily 100% about SHIB, it's about any project that you're in. You sign up for a DeFi project, you think that it's totally decentralized, no central power, no one point of failure, and only to find out later that a lot of these projects are not truly decentralized, and they succumb to power grabs, rugs, or hacks. And once you get to digging down deeper, you realize, wow, this was not exactly what I signed up for. But Ryoshi, was SHIB's founder, anonymous founder. He wrote on the Medium, "I'm nobody, I'm not important." And if you step back in 2022, when this first came out via a blog, he ensured that SHIB's success relied on the community, not one leader. So it prevented power consolidation. But the threat came later. Through token hoarding, personal agendas, eventually eroded trust. Ryoshi warned against some CEO, important guy, becoming the target for blame or control. His exit forced the SHIB army to take ownership, proving decentralization needs no single point of control. And I think the I guess happy part of the story is that even after Ryoshi left and kind of handed the project over to the community, and then after the devs that were in power kind of faded away one by one. We still are surviving as a project and as a community. Um, but just in these things, just some important things to be aware of to, in a project, making sure that the power is spread among many, whether it's a DAO or whether it's just a large team. Making sure not one person is becoming the end all be all to that project, because even as innocent as someone stepping down, um, you know I mean, think of it as Michael Saylor with MicroStrategy. If he were to step down, what would that do to the project and just the perception of it in investors' eyes? It potentially could crash because he is such a big part of that project. I mean, he is the name or the face of MicroStrategy. So spreading that power out as far as possible, it always helps, ensure things run smoothly if someone were to exit. And then stay vigilant, expose attempts to take power from the people. If you see something, say something, speak up when you see things aren't going the way that thought they should go, or the way they went in the beginning. Things, could change along the way. And then be transparent. Open communication builds trust. I see so many projects out there having regular spaces or regular voice chats, and that's just reassuring to me, in giving that place where the community can ask questions and openly, even criticize. There's nothing wrong with asking the hard questions. You deserve that as an investor. You deserve to be able to answer those questions, ask those questions, whether they're answered or not. So, just be transparent as a project. So, the takeaway in that is that power corrupts when hoarded and it strengthens when shared. So the experiment that we had in this decentralized project of SHIB shows that true community building means trusting the collective. And that is the lesson for tonight. And I'm sure we can add some real life examples there. Bender, I'd love to hand it back to you and get your take. And maybe it's to do with SHIB, or maybe it's another project you're in.
Couple of takes here. First, and as always, as I kind of read a little bit about this yesterday. Well, I read through the whole thing actually, and I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, we're we'll have some church lessons tomorrow, which is today." But salute to you first off. Before I need to use my soundboard more, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm so used not to having that on my Android, but I'll say first, when I first got in the SHIB Army, I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't read the e-paper at all, which is kind of weird. I should probably do that. But I did read the Bitcoin. I read SafeMoon, ironically. And I was like, this sounds a little sketch because it kind of goes off chain into some other realm where it seems like it's kind of harder to sell your crypto if you need it to. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of out on that. Luckily, I was smart there. Well, I wasn't smart, but at least my spidey senses went up. Because I was definitely getting in at the tail end of it. And then I read the Wolf paper, and I was just, I've been in sales for a while, and I was kind of really blown away. Just because I don't know what Ryoshi's background was, but there was a lot of, and this was like something from 2020, so it was almost a year that SHIB had been out, and there was just a lot of elements of it, of self-awareness and being responsible for you as a community member and what your daily contribution can look like. And I don't have the quote right in front of me, but it's something to the effect of like, if you're not going to be involved, that's fine. Just try not to bitch about it. Like if you're not going to be like hands-on. And that was kind of one of the things that spurred on the recap for me. And at the time, then there's many more elements to that, but I'm just kind of giving y'all a couple of the ones that stand out for me. But at the time, the original Discord was still up, and that was such a ruckus, rowdy environment. It was like my first time on Discord. Like I set up my whole Discord just to figure out how to enter and get into this Discord with SHIB Army, and like it was like thousands of people in there. People are in there yelling, arguing. Devs are going crazy and that kind of thing. But it was just so. It was just, in my opinion, the spirit of decentralization, and it seemed like once that kind of got shut down, things started to change. And a lot of people were, especially the first year I was in, were really not too keen on speaking out directly against the devs, and I can understand why. I mean, you got to come at people respectful, at the end of the day, and that kind of thing. But there was some incidences that I felt like I need to even speak up on, and yeah, I got a little bit of heat for that, and I was fine with that. At the end of the day, I didn't care, and that kind of thing. So, but as you move forward, you're at least for me, and just kind of dealing with personally power dynamics in real life, and I'm always in situations. I'm around millionaires and billionaires. To make a real long story short, with everything, and I just kind of know how these things play out, and how they operate and that kind of thing. And I was just like, yeah, y'all don't move the same, and maybe it's when you first come into that type of role, you may not understand the gravity of the position, and it's very different running an organization than it is to be a part of an organization. That much I can tell you. So that was just kind of a area of concern that I noticed early on. It's funny that you mentioned Michael Saylor. There's a product he has out right now. It's called STRC, and not financial advice or anything like that, but it's a stock or something that you can find it on those kind of platforms. I guess you'll say. I don't think it's technically a stock. Whatever it is, it's earning like 11.5% a year. It's about $100 a share. I think actually for a product, it's not that bad. There are some things out there that are competing with it. But the one thing that actually, and I was talking to my broker about it, and on the surface, it's a good concept. But my concern is like, Sailor's absolutely the face of this franchise, and heaven forbid, something happens to him. I just think it would like I think like this whole setup might be in jeopardy. Like even I don't know how strong the company is. Like I watch a lot of YouTube videos. They're whatever it is, the CFO, the other guy, Fong something, I can't remember his name. I don't want to disrespect him, but there's another guy out there that's pretty out there with it too. There's so much more than him in strategy, long story short, but I just know like the perception of Saylor, and I'm just like, yeah, let me think about that. But neither here nor there. But as you were saying, Queen, just the and I think he's probably by far one of the best managers of his area of expertise. And I'll say he's probably the most, not only best shiller of crypto of all time, but I'll say he's probably the most passionate, informed CEO of his product that I've ever heard. And that's quite a bit of product knowledge people that I've listened to. But he's up there with like, the Steve Jobs of the world, and that kind of thing there too. So yeah, you can definitely take some lessons this week in those dynamics. As we can see now, moving forward, community is out there. I don't know necessarily if anybody needs to start a Shiba swap, start an L2 or anything like that. I would like to see some kind of mechanical utility for Sheeper. I don't know what that looks like. Whether it's a game, whether it's, I don't know. Like, I know there was a while where, YouTube was big and people were making plays on YouTube, and anything they would generate off of YouTube, they would, then convert it and send it to a burn or some taxes and all that kind of stuff that kind of implement in there. Of course, do your own research, but, I would like to see that. But as a whole, if nothing else, a community is going to, prop up, a token, and that'll hopefully, attract, more people moving forward. But it's been, especially the last 2 years, I feel like it's been quite a different journey for Sheep than most tokens in the top 50 market. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to go on what you're saying, Bender. I don't think there are two things in this world that corrupt more than greed and power, and this space is one that combines both. And you've seen, uh, even your own friends that you thought would never, turn on you or turn on a project or turn on anything in the space. Once they get a little money in their pocket, all they see is dollar signs, and they can turn into a completely different person that you don't even recognize anymore. And I've seen it happen time and time again. And it takes a really special person to be able to consider the community best interest over your own best interest when big money is involved. And I don't know what would have happened if we had stayed along Ryoshi's vision with just building SHIB. If greed and power would have corrupted the same, or if we really truly could have been that decentralized experiment that we all had hoped, and maybe we can be. um, but I definitely saw a lot of not only the devs but the team itself become you know a little power got to their head. Just the ordinary mod started to think that they were bigger than the community, and that's kind of where it went wrong, I think. um, yeah, and so a lot of lessons learned along the way, but I hope you guys enjoyed that trench lessons, and we'll continue more. And they won't all be about SHIB, but like I said, just at that point in time, that was kind of my main focus. So, there may be more that involve SHIB as we go along.
Awesome, Queen, and thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see moving forward, and just go from there. And it's like I say, it's just been so one heck of a journey, y'all. That's the best way I can put it. And I really wish, gosh, like my life would be like totally different if I had made it in just like maybe 2 or 3 months earlier with everything. But anybody that's been here since like August of 2020, I can't even imagine, because like I had just got on to Twitter right as Ryoshi was kind of winding down. So like he was still kind of active. I think he had tweeted once or twice, but you could kind of. I went back and I looked through his profile, and I was scrolling down, and I was just reading all kinds of cool stuff and everything. And then it was like literally maybe 2 weeks to a month later, he was like gone. Like whole account just blanked out. And like I think somebody had archived all his tweets and that kind of thing. Luckily, I think at one point there was some kind of medium you could find him and his information on. You could actually find. I don't know if you can even find the original wallpaper right now, just to be honest. But yeah, it's just been quite a journey, with everything. So we'll see that moving forward.
You can find it, Vendor, but it's on some obscure websites. It's not on SHIB.io anymore, or the SHIB, main website. It's been scrubbed.
Really?
But yeah,
that's what I was saying.
It's crazy to talk like where I live. Like nobody is into crypto, or nobody I know is into crypto. But I had a patient today who had a friend that got into SHIB early. I don't even know how we got to talking about this, but anyway, sold it at the top for like $189,000. Bought a house with it, and I was like, wow, that's cool. He was smart, took profits, and changed his life. Changed his future. So it happens, but it's definitely the exception to the current space that we're in right now.
Right. It's absolutely phenomenal. You know what? That is so weird. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my Android versus my iPhone, and my iPhone is not showing my bookmarks. It's really strange. But anyway, yeah, that's beautiful, Queen, and I'll look forward to next week's French lessons too as well. Everybody, throw some emojis up for Queen. These are phenomenal, phenomenal in terms of the French lessons, and just follow Queen generally. Like she's a really smart person. Yeah, before I forget, so we'll make this one really quick. Queen and Gabby are like big sisters to me. I'm just not gonna lie about it. And sometimes I can be that antagonizing little bro, and I felt, uh, I felt like I was being trolled a little bit in a different space about my conspiracy theories when it comes to China, and I started tagging lots of people with like, just China, like, things that were going on with social credit scores. And Gabby, the other day threw a video at me. And I was like, I got time today. It's morning, not starting work yet. Like, I'm going to watch this video, see what's up. And I was kind of blown away. Like, it just like kind of gave me a perception of China I had never seen. And it was just like this family in a neighborhood, just happy somewhere, eating the best Chinese food I had ever seen in my life, at a birthday party. And that's just the way I summed it up. So I asked Grok, and long story short, it amounted to like China not necessarily being as totally locked down totalitarian as I had thought. So, I just want to say shout out to Gabby, for opening up my mind and giving me a little different level. And, I'll probably have to buy a whole different phone and not add any of my social media when I go to visit China. But I will try to, get a strictly, tourist view of, Hong Kong and the Great Wall and see if I can slide in and out without them recognizing Bender, who has said some awfully crazy things on Twitter about China. So I will respect any country while I'm over there. I get it, in regards to that. But it's crazy. And then I read today. I'm not gonna go there, but I'm just gonna thank Gabby. How about that? So salute to Gabby with everything. A couple of headlines here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I've wanted to talk about this thing for a couple of weeks. I know you had commented on it. Big shout out to Clifford. I see you in the building. Thank you for coming through, along with you too as well, Treasure. But I didn't see you earlier. Everybody's been hanging in here. But communities are supposed to be going away on the 30th of this month. I am not going to profess to be the most, and all of you know, because I am probably a member of your community somewhere on X. I'm not going to profess whatsoever as being the most active member of the communities. However, I do know there are some very active communities out there, but also I'm not a very active member on Discord. I'm not a very active member on Telegram. But I'm in a lot of those too. And for me, it's kind of like they're great for individual communities who don't want all the noise, who want specific things, who have moderators to help them out. I think, especially for NFT projects, especially for putting in tickets for whatever reason you need, especially if you have like an exchange, crypto exchange issue, that kind of thing, or some kind of platform issue. I do think these spaces are very, very warranted, especially on Discord. Telegram, I think some of the rooms and everything that they do, just from being involved with some projects, are also pretty deep. And I'm in a lot of crypto telegrams and stuff like that too, as well, that are very, very noisy and rowdy, and those do serve a purpose. X, I think, was somebody told me that their communities were based off of competing against Reddit, which I have a Reddit. I'm not on Reddit much. I don't know. It seemed to me like more Discord, Telegram, but whatever. I think it's all about the same thing. But I wanted your thoughts on this, Crypto Queen, because I know you actually do have a community. Are you sad, or how do you feel, I should say, generally about the possibility of communities being now replaced with up to 1,000 in what amounts to a group chat?
Yeah, I was kind of bummed about it as well because I like the communities because you could just, visit when you wanted to. You weren't bombarded with a bunch of DMs. You could see the tweets that were posted in the community and they community spaces. But now, they want to pivot, I guess, to DMs. And I don't know about you guys, but I get tired of looking at, the DMs that are coming from those busy DM groups, and you're constantly having to click on them to clear them out, or they're showing in your totals when you're, waiting for one certain DM, and you look over there and you're waiting for that one up, and you've got 20 or 20 plus, and oh my gosh. So I'm not. I mean, I'll go to it. I mean, I don't think we have a choice, but I do think that that's a feature that a lot of the ex users really liked, and I'm unfortunate that it's going away. And I saw they were going to make a few exceptions for some certain communities, and I saw that they had DM'd a few bigger influencers who are having issues with it, and said if they would agree to stream, they could potentially keep their community. So I just don't know how fair it is being passed around, I guess, if it's fair between all users, but I do really hate to see it come to an end.
Right. And I really wonder, and thank you. I really wonder if I'm not back to not being an IT guy now, but I wonder how much of the server space it actually takes up. Versus because they used to be where they wouldn't show up on the timeline, and then they kind of opened that up, and now you can kind of see them on the timeline. If there's a little button that you could click, and they could actually come on the timeline as a tweet too as well. I know there's a few that, ironically, the cool thing about it is when you host a space in them, it alerts, and I get like a couple of those alerts, and they really stand out. In my notifications there too as well. So again, I do think for those that do work the communities right, I find them to be very useful. And I'll tell y'all now, I don't know if it's kind of a correlation of the two, but the absolute use case for them, and I hate to say it, but it was true. I know I was watching them left or right, but they were on Pump Fund. And those Pump Phone guys, man, they would make a community in a heartbeat. That community would load up. Like, the communities were bigger than like the the Twitter pages. Like, you would have like uh, I don't know, a community at like 5,000, 7,000 people in the community just chattering, going on about this token, maybe pumping, for a pump fund, going hard is probably 3 to 7 days. If you can get one to go more in a month, like, that's parabolic. But but then like the actual page might have like 1,500 followers, but the community would have like, like I say, 3, 5, 7,000 followers. So it just seemed kind of ironic, like right after that was really, really getting heavy, that all of a sudden that they wanted to just shut them down. But yeah, we'll see moving forward, if they actually do that, because it seems like they caught a little bit of heat on that, and some of the bigger streamers were actually coming on X like, hey, yeah, we use this. This is, when we come on here and stream, like, this is where our users go. This is where my followers go, to go check it out. So, yeah, maybe they'll make some exceptions, or maybe Elon has changed his mind in the past about some things after hearing enough about it. He has admitted openly that he will make some mistakes and adjust on the fly. So we'll see how it goes, and kind of keep an eye on that on the 30th. And thank you for that, Queen. Also, let's see here. That was kind of one I've had that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I think there's a delay. I was going to say, before we move off topic, do we want to talk about the new X algo that was published to GitHub?
Oh yeah. That's actually I was getting ready to go to. If you want to talk about a little bit more.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
About that, I want to see, because like I said, for some reason my bookmarks aren't showing up here. It's really weird, but I'm gonna see if I can put them on the. I can't. I don't know. I'm gonna put them to the DM and try to go from there. But if you want to talk about it, I'll try to post them up here in the Jumping Truck.
Yeah, okay. I'll just go. I did post in the Nest a pretty detailed tweet about all the changes, but just kind of off the top of my head, a few things that jumped out at me were, the focus is on like original content, of course. You're not really getting any engagement for replying to or reposting viral tweets. A lot of people were doing that just to gain impressions, but that's not really going to help you anymore. tweets with video or some kind of media are good. Um, Contrarian takes with receipts, like if you are going to say something in a negative light or you're going to argue against something, make sure you have screenshots or going to be boosted. Let's see if there's anything else. Some things that will get positive engagement or points, or however they getting replies, getting retweets on your own post. Someone clicks on your shares your post in DMs, copies the links, or the at times post is good for the metrics. And then negative actions like quickly pass a post, clicks not interested, that automatically gets the post deboosted, blocks you, mutes you, or reports you. So it's so funny. I've been reporting quite a few posts lately, and they always come back. I guess the AI agent screens them and immediately says there's nothing, like no words that are outright offensive in there, but post with context, I'm sure that there would be something that is not appropriate there. But anyway, I was glad to see that the reports are at least, going to go against that person, even if they're not taken seriously. So, but yeah, read through that post. There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, thank you, Queen. Also, I've got another one here. I got to find it, but there's actually limits to how much you can tweet. So if you don't have a check mark or you're not on premium, I guess you could say it might be, because I think there's actually a level that doesn't give you a check mark. I think it's 500, 50 tweets a day and 200 replies. I believe 500 tweets a day and 2,500 replies with a premium, but there is a limit. And then I think the OG standard has always been up to 400 follows per day, 400 unfollows per day. And do your research on that. Definitely look into it, because if you do that too fast, you'll still end up look like spam and get flagged. Really long story short, in terms of that one. I'll usually, if I've got a follow app, because a lot of people follow me and then I follow them back and then they'll follow you to try to make you look good. So about once a month I go through there and clear out, usually about 50 to 100 people that have done that to me. But yeah, it's some interesting things. I just posted a couple up here also. This one just came out today. There is a new Creator Connect AI powered solution, matches brands with creators in real time. I kind of read through it. I got to read through it again. I'll just put it like that, because I was like not really understanding it. But I guess that kind of speaks for itself with that one, with everything. But check that out. I did post that up to the Jumbotron too as well. And
Vendor, one of the things that I thought was kind of funny lately is that Nikita who's I guess the dev or designer, whoever in charge of the algo, has been, calling people out publicly. Like if they criticize the algo, he finds something in their history that's, potentially shady or whatever, or maybe they're doing AI slop, whatever the case is. He's going to respond to them and kind of out them publicly. And, we've seen him be community noted a couple times, which is always kind of funny. But what I've seen recently has been kind of surprising to me is, even Elon Musk himself and Nikita both have said, like, if you don't like it, get off. And I'm like, wow, that's a way, what a way to talk to your customers that are paying. I don't see a whole lot of businesses do that, but I guess on X you can. So yeah, you guys see that. It's been eye-opening a little.
Yeah, I haven't seen that from Elon. I did see him say, he's at least trying to be transparent about it. They put it out there on GitHub, but he wasn't trying to beat the allegations either, because somebody was just like, yeah, man, your algo's trash. And he was like, yep, well, we're transparent. Like, and I was just like, well, that's not really an answer. It's nice to know that you at least acknowledge the algo. I mean, when you got to put an algo on GitHub, like, red flag, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Just let the timeline flow. Let the people decide. Honestly, I think don't even get me started on the creators program because I think it would just make the world would be a lot simpler place if like we just got to cut of the ad revenue and just people got in the comments and replies and advertisements got seen and I think it would just be a happy world. But with that being said, I think the Nikita guy though, I think he takes it a little bit more personal because I even asked Grok when I was researching this a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Well, where's the official page on all these changes?" And Grok was even like, "Bro, you just gotta watch Nikita's tweets. Like that's that's your official update page. Like they're taking it on, they're winging it, bro." I was like, and I'm paraphrasing Grok, but he was like, "Yeah, it's that kind of outfit right now." So yeah, we'll see moving forward with everything. But I honestly, and I'm gonna get to this one here in a moment. X is still by far heads above clouds the freest. Not counting yours, Zach. I know Post Switch is free, but I'm just saying in terms of like the major established social medias out there, it's by far the freest you can talk on. Like, you're not. There's a lot of things you're getting away with on X you won't even see the light of day on something like Facebook or TikTok. Absolutely not. Yeah, like they are flagging you straight up. So, I'm adjusting. Yeah. I can't do anything about Elon Musk. But in a perfect world, we would have this creator program with Jax Haljo. I'm just going to put that out there for anybody that listens to the spaces in the background there on X. Because I know some things I say probably flag y'all to trigger to listen to the space. Meantime, though, I do see Dosey in the building, Cal J. Shiv in the building, Alan, I believe was it Alan Grass. Thank you for coming through along with everybody else that's been hanging in here. We are live once again, week 13 on the Going Off Grid space here with everything. And shout out to everybody out there worldwide. A couple of headlines here. I'm not. All right, y'all. Queen said I got to touch grass on the AI data centers. So I'm going to condense this down to a 30-second one here. So last week, I kind of went off for about 20 minutes on this, and I was just like, my brain was all over the place because I absolutely zang. When we talk about jumping down that rabbit hole, sir, you were here last week. But anyway, I was down a long rabbit hole on the AI, and it took my brain to overload. So just a quick recap here. It's about 3,500 AI data centers in the United States. They all seem to have this same game plan and formula, taking farmland and using fresh water. And, the premise of this was we were supposed to be in some arms race with China. Well, some things I've learned this week. Not only does the United States have 10 times more data centers than China does currently, 10 times more, like 300 and something data centers in China, 3,500 in the United States, but 10 times more than pretty much the rest of the world combined. Also, and I got this information from some guy that was replying about the one that's going up in Utah. I don't know if y'all have heard about this, but there's a data center going up in Utah that's going to be like 60 miles long, like the size of Manhattan. Like, it's ridiculous. But anyway, a guy came in the comments and he had mentioned something, and I was kind of trying to think about it last week from a point of like, solutions without using fresh water. And I was thinking like gaming, desktops that don't need this, that have fans and cooling fans and things like that. But this one I thought correlated perfectly with it, Bitcoin mining. There's huge Bitcoin mining centers that aren't using fresh water up, that pay for their own electricity, that aren't taxpayer subsidy. Why are we not learning from that? I'm just putting these questions out here, y'all. I'm not going to say what I really feel like because I don't have a way to prove it. But keep an eye on these data centers because the race with China has been over for a while. We're like 10 times ahead of them right now, and we're building more, and 1,000 to 1,400 more on the way. And as soon as they can figure out how to start doing more eminent domain where they're taking people's land and giving them below market fair value on it, or just in some other states just overpaying for farmland and building that, whatever they're doing, we'll see. And that's it. Quick, I'm done. I'm touching grass. But I had to give y'all that update. I'm gonna keep giving y'all updates on these, y'all. It's wild. We're gonna figure it out. Let's see here. Another one, really quick here. I'll just touch base on this one. We had talked about coming soon, or I should say, it's already been a law since 2021, but they have to by 2027 or 2028. They have to have these cameras in your car that can basically tell if you're alert, ready to go, and that kind of thing, and it can shut your car down and that kind of stuff. It's really kind of crazy. I think some of this is actually kind of being implemented with FSD right now from what Queens has described to me. But an interesting twist on this because a lot of people are like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to keep buying older cars and avoid that. Well, it turns out that BlackRock and Vanguard own like not only a big share in a lot of the manufacturers, the auto manufacturers stocks. So they basically control the auto manufacturers that are pushing this, which that means that they are probably pushing this. But then they also own the majority stocks in all of the major auto parts stores. So like your AutoZones, your there's like 3 of them, but one of them that's really big. They happen to be close to 700 locations of these, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, usually auto parts have to stay on the books for about 10 years in available parts. I don't know if the aftermarket companies will keep up, but if let's say if a BlackRock and a Vanguard want to push this agenda, then they can just simply stop accepting that to a point where you're just kind of forced to level up because there are no parts left for vehicles that don't have this feature. So just think about that. Also, the flock cameras are going crazy, and I told y'all about that last week. Went from gunshots and that kind of thing now to just being able to, software update, hear people yelling, that kind of stuff. Well, they're pretty heavily from the East Coast to the probably, everything kind of fades out somewhere around the mountain region, your Idahos, Wyomings, that kind of thing, and picks back up again, California, Nevada, Arizona area, Colorado, that kind of stuff. But, it's like 95,000 of these things nationwide. It's pretty ridiculous in terms of that one there too. Okay, I'm done with the rabbit hole. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I just had all this. You know what, y'all? I'm gonna walk up to this line tonight. I'm sorry, Queen. Queen's not a part of this. If y'all are listening out there, whoever listens to these, I know y'all have a file on me, but I just don't care anymore. I'm saying it while I'm free enough to say it. So the CIA, there's a CIA whistleblower going up in Congress. He's just telling all this stuff. And it just so happens to be a point where the CIA raids Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, which happens to oversee the CIA. I'm going to say it again. The CIA raids her office about all these files that are about to be released. But the DNI oversees the office that they raided. And that was just like really mind-opening. And the thing that is crazy is because it took the whistleblower to announce this. And this is supposedly have happened weeks or however a while back. And her office never said a word about the CIA raiding and coming in and taking these files. And the files were MK Ultra, JFK assassination, and some more documents. So, and the MK Ultra ones were like, they were supposed to have all been released, but then there was like some left. So whatever they came in to rate, it was probably just something that that wasn't released that they knew about. Queen, don't even comment on that. I'm just taking that one. I've probably set off bells and alarms at the NSA right now. Kevin Warsh. Moving on to other things. Kevin Warsh was confirmed by the Senate as the Fed Reserve Governor. I thought it was the Fed chair, but confirmed by the Senate. I don't know how that works going through the House yet. I don't know if it's all the way official. We'll see there. This one I found really interesting. So the UK has averaged about 30 arrests per day for people that retweet and post cartoons on X. So not you tweeting like something at the UK, like F you UK, I'm free, take that. Just like you retweeting Bender talking about, free UK and like and I'm in America and you retweet that and you're in the UK and they come get you. Like that's crazy. Let's see here. Also, top 4 online arrest countries: UK, Belarus, China, Turkey, Russia. USA did make the list. It was like at number 5. I mean, it was like at the bottom of the list. They had like 50 arrests. I'm hoping like it was like the majority of them just like, violent, threats, against people, which is not freedom of speech, by the way. You can't do stuff like that. Do your own research on freedom of speech. But it's not just like you can say anything to anybody anywhere. We've seen countless examples. I'm not going to go through this week on that. Let's see here. $900 billion. Speaking of Jerome Powell and new Fed chair governors, but $900 billion was wiped out of the stock market on Jerome Powell's last day, which is last Friday the 15th. Shout out to Jerome Powell. I'm not gonna lie. Being in loans, you have no idea how much 0% from the Fed really helped when you were helping out people and getting like 2, 3, 4%, home loan rates, and cars are at 0% from the manufacturer, brand new, and now it's not so much. Like 6% is like, 6% of the home loan's a lot, y'all. It's about, I'd say the average medium home's about 400,000. It's roughly a point for every point. I should say it's roughly about $600 a month. Like it's some serious money going from 3 to 6%. It's like another $1,800 a month on your home loan. Like it's not financial advice, but not even pulling a mortgage calculator out. I can kind of tell you off the top of my head that's a good roundabout number. This one didn't kind of turn out to be as bad as they made it out the initial headlines, but we'll kind of keep an eye on it. But 50,000 people around the Lake Tahoe area, the AI data centers were going to take the electric from the AI data centers, from the people in the homes, I should say, and give it to the electric AI data centers. But it kind of turns out like a lot of their subsidies were expiring and that kind of thing. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Google's in talks with SpaceX. Shout out to Queen on this one. She's out here finding solutions, y'all. I'm just conspiracy theories. Queen's finding solutions. I'm just gonna shout her out. But Google's in talks with SpaceX for AI data centers in space, which would solve a lot of the water issues and probably cooling problems, hopefully. Claude cracks password recovery. This is pretty cool. Claude cracked a password recovery for 5 Bitcoin from a guy who had lost his password 9 years ago. So the guy basically gave Claude, his information from his old computer, said, see what you can come up with. Claude goes in there, searches around, finds out the code, figures it out, says, here you go, dude. He plugs it in. And I think he had some ETH in there too, but he recovered like 400,000 almost in Bitcoin from that one. So through that was pretty cool. And then Queen, I don't know if you want to go in a little bit of this, but Mythos AI uncovers Mac operating system flaws that are able to bypass Apple security. I know you know a lot about Mythos. You're always sending me that stuff. Can you tell people a little bit more about Mythos and what that's really doing by Claude. If you're there, Quinn. Am I here? Spam the emojis if y'all can hear me.
Hey, Bender, I'm so sorry. I just got home and I was talking to my kiddos. I missed some of that.
Oh, no worries. No worries. And shout out to the kids. I was saying Mythos, that extra. I don't know. I think it's HEI, but can you tell the listeners there a little bit more about Mythos and what its capabilities are?
Yeah, so it's
Claude.
Anthropic's newest model. It's supposed to be like, the biggest and best, and it's specifically designed for like cybersecurity and, to identify weaknesses in code. And, it's rolled out to just a few like select trusted individuals right now, supposedly. And, but if it ever were to get in the hands of like nefarious actors, if it hasn't already, it could be really really bad for crypto in general, identifying all these vulnerabilities and targeting them. So yeah, it's supposed to be really really the next big thing.
Thank you. And I would like to see it. I think I replied to you in a tweet about this, but I'd like to see it also used to find out vulnerabilities in bridges, crypto smart contracts, that kind of thing. If they can make a division for that so we can stop seeing all these hacks, which I'm about to get into here in a moment, that would be lovely. I don't know if y'all saw this one. I'm having issues posting stuff to Jumbotron, but I think I'll retweet it at some point. But dozens of empty Waymos, those are those like taxis, those driverless taxis. They invaded an Atlanta cul-de-sac, and it was pretty wild too, because like you could see them like lining up in this cul-de-sac, and kind of if you were trying to get in and out, it would have been really extremely difficult to do. You wouldn't have been able to do it in a car. I wonder if somebody called a bunch of them, and did something, nefarious in that regard. But we'll probably find out a little bit more information about that one down the road. Let's see here. 638 billion fake free stocks on Solana were wiped out in 48 hours. I think that was kind of crazy one. I don't know if you got any more information on that one, Queen, but I remember you having that article. I've just got the headline. I can't remember everything about it. Did you have any more information on that? She might be talking to the kiddos. No worries. I got you. This one. There's no honor amongst thieves. So we've talked about this chain, Thor chain, that has basically become the go-to for hackers. They send their funds through there. Thorchain gets a nice, percentage of transaction fees. Seems to have been a win-win situation here recently. But Thorchain had a $10 million exploit this week. Affected over 12,000 wallets. Bitcoin, ETH, Rune, Base were all affected in regards to that one. So, yeah, I found that one extremely ironic. Also, an alert out here for y'all, especially if you're a Ledger holder. Ledger had fake letters sent out to homes with a QR code that could potentially have drained your account. I know there were a few compromised, but this is very real. I did ask Grok and found a link to their support that was stating, watch out for these fake letters. I see, with the ledgers being shipped to your house, but again, we had talked about earlier, that decentralization factor of it, and Ledger already, I believe, has been, caught with a backdoor in the past. Now, somewhere your address and personal information is obviously being stored, because they're just sending the stuff directly to your house. So if you got a Ledger, just heads up. I'll just put it that way. Also, this one's kind of interesting. I think I've been close to a victim of this a couple of times, but there's a site here on X called Block Layered Pod, and it's a scam podcast downloadable link. So what they do is that they use a pretty popular one like StreamYard or what have you not. They set up these meetings. They're going through it. They're asking you questions. They're sending you everything. And then you get there and then they ask you to download something onto a laptop or what have you not. And basically, you're just kind of relinquishing, remote viewer control type of stuff. And then they're just going through your whatever and, trying to find, either, crypto or, what have you not. And, just trying to drain your accounts and everything. But I know I've gotten DMs, especially from people that I know that have been hacked and have been trying to send me download stuff, and I won't catch it until the very end because I've probably communicated with them a few times and didn't realize they were hacked or anything. So right now, y'all, especially just really long story short, if you're getting a DM, even from somebody you communicate with a while and a lot, and there certainly is a link in there, like take precautions, like absolutely just take precautions on everything right now. Just watch what you're doing. Link in our bio's fine. I will tell you that. Download the podcast. Shout out to Amber. I see you in the building. Appreciate you coming through. So yeah, I did want to make sure I mentioned that one. And then SEC, I think you had just talked about this one today, Queen. SEC has what they call an innovation exemption for tokenized stocks. So I believe that's kind of sum that up. Not financial advice, a pathway, a gateway, a doorway to tokenized stocks, eventually coming to play here. Prediction markets. I didn't really have anything. Well, I do have one. Queen, this one got community noted. I know you wanted to talk about it. But studies suggested that the Hanna virus sperm can survive up to 6 years. The Hanna virus can survive in sperm up to 6 years. Got a little community note, but the community note was kind of sketch. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of like, yeah, we gotta throw something on there, but they weren't beating the allegations either, in regards to that one. And I'm just kidding, y'all. Queen wanted no parts of that. I told her I thought that was funny, though. I won't mention it. And then, ironically, I guess there was something weird. I had no clue about this, but I guess there was something weird with sperm counts and COVID too. Like, it's like some people were coming up with 0 sperm and COVID. Like, yeah, it's a wild time, y'all. Just try not to catch a virus right now, especially if you're a male with sperm. Not financial advice or medical. $109 billion, y'all. $109 billion was spent on the lotto last year. To kind of give you context of how big that is, $109 billion being spent on the lotto. It was more than movies. It was more than books. It was more than concerts. It was more than sports tickets combined. United States was gambling, y'all. Ironically, though, about 70 billion was cashed out. So the state's sitting at about 30 billion, which makes me kind of wonder because the parishes and stuff in my state still vote a lot on, trying to help out kids' school money. So I'm like, well, where's the money going? Like, and this supposed to be helping out kids in school? That's another story. Maybe we can get Nick Shirley to investigate that. Humanoids. Oh, this one's kind of crazy. There's autonomous humanoid bot. First, it was running an 8-hour shift. It's called a Helix-02. Then they ran it like for 50 hours, and the guy was just like, "Man, I'm just going to run this thing until it fails." And it was like over 50 hours. And then I just saw another tweet. This guy actually pulled a John Henry, went against it for 10 hours straight. Beat it. It was only by a couple hundred though, y'all. But beat it like it was like 12,900 some odd packages sorted versus 12,700 some odd packages sorted. But like you're not going to have to put into a 401k with this, or pay it overtime, or allow it to eat or go to the restroom or take a lunch break. So just kind of keep an eye on that. But it's pretty wild there in terms of that one. Business schools slash up to 50% on their MBA tuitions right now because of demand. So you can get a master's in business administration up to 50% discount at certain schools. And then last but not least, I thought this was a good sign. Alcohol consumption is as lowest in U.S. history for adults, which I thought was pretty cool. So shout out to y'all doing a little less drinking and hopefully helping out your liver a lot more.
Bender, I wonder, did it say anything was taking the place of it? Because they got to be doing something. So is it marijuana or what?
I'm guessing it's probably weed. Yeah, that would be my educated guess. Is that there's something that has like people need an escape. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know a lot of people like there's this whole movement now, like these sauna rooms, like they're gathering places. Like I don't know if y'all got that in y'all's area, but like it's a huge thing in the city I'm in. Like you'll just see these big giant sauna rooms. They look like some kind of like toga party. It's like kind of wild, but it's kind of cool. There's a whole subculture of this finding things sober to do movement. Long story short, too, with that one there. But yeah, I would just think that the majority of people have probably just moved over to marijuana because the dispensaries are also going up wildly massive in the States, and they're getting that revenue. So to the point where big alcohol is fighting back hard and has passed stuff in Congress last year. That's, I don't think, cool. Free market competition. I'm always about that. But yeah, you're probably right there, Quinn. Hopefully that's all they're doing and not going to the harder drugs. Quinn, I know we want to cut a little short tonight. I am with you there. Any final thoughts? Are you still there? Am I still there? Am I doing final thoughts on the whole again? Uh-oh. I just saw Queen drop the listener and drop out. Well, okay. Well, I'm not sure if we get Queen back. Sometimes her phone... Uh-oh, she's back. Queen, you back?
I think so. I'm having a little connection issues. So
all right,
lose you, Bender, but...
give us your final thoughts, quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just thanks everybody for coming and joining. This is always fun. I love to see Bender off the chain, and good to connect with everybody. So thanks for coming. You guys have a great week.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Queen, for everything you do and contribute. I do want to end it on this. I'm using AI more than ever. I have upgraded my financial literacy a ton. I've got a game plan, not only thanks to AI, but I'm also going to thank Gabby Space for giving me a sharp focus on that. So I am overall bullish on AI. I am just personally concerned a little bit more about these data centers at this point, y'all. Just don't let me lie about it. But everything else, I'm just like, all right, it's going to change the world, and embrace and see what you can do as a part of that change is where I'm at. But I'm going to keep, I'm not letting up on these AI data centers, y'all. But I do, because I know I sound very hypocritical, and if you follow my TikTok, you will absolutely know I use Grok every day to kind of remix some videos and things like that. But I do every day at this point, in one shape, way, or form of it. So I just want to put that out there on the record, in case AI is listening. I love you, AI. Just not necessarily some of the things that the overlords are using you for. Also want to say, just kind of be mindful out there in the world. I didn't get the chance to post this one, but I did want to mention on the Clarity Act this week, it did go through the markup on both sides. So there's a banking committee side in the Senate, and then there's an agricultural committee side, and they basically control the CFTC side. So it's the SEC side for the bankers, the CFTC side for the agriculture. Passed both of those, going to move through the next steps in Congress. I don't know all these steps, it's just like the wild steps. It's like when I don't know if y'all remember when Bitcoin was becoming an ETF, and it was just like all the different steps that it took to get, like, I learned so much about how an ETF is developed. I think this is just giving me a whole new perspective on bills, coming to life and being passed. There too, like I said, on a different space. I don't know if there's anything about the Clarity Act that really excites me per se, but I do know that there's probably something official needed on the books to get uh, crypto in a legal format if we're going to have mass adoption in terms of that, and more importantly, to kind of shelter it from an administration change and immediate attacks from somebody that's anti-crypto. To kind of have those laws in the books. But with that being said, yeah, there was no mention of cutting taxes whatsoever. So I did tweet Congress a couple of days ago, and I was like, "Hey, Congress, how about we just lower taxes while while this bill's in the remix, in the making of it?" And I haven't heard back from Congress yet, but I do encourage you to use your rights and let's see if we can get it lowered. I asked for 3% because that's what the founders revolted on Britain for, and that's what started America. So I just wanted 3% or less. I think it should be 2 or 3%. I don't mind paying for some roads and some infrastructure, but and there's certain social health programs too. I like. Don't let me lie. I'm not like. Don't even get me started on taxes. I'm not going there with y'all tonight. Well, the less taxes, the better in this case. And crypto would be all the better for it. So I encourage you, please reach out to your representatives and, let your voices be heard. Whether you agree with that or not, whatever you find that you don't like about the Clarity Act, let your voice be heard. Because whoever was in charge of the lobbyists did not do a good job. And I'm just tired of sitting around and letting them do everything because I'm just like, it just seems like a surveillance state bill at this point. And I'm sorry, but it's better than nothing. I'm 51% bullish on it. So I just want to put that out there on the record. And then, outside of that, though, everybody definitely be safe in your travels this week. Take care. If you see something out there, feel free to tag me. Otherwise, just, have a beautiful life and, hopefully these markets will pick up. But in the meantime, stacking the kingdom. Death Wish Crypto, I see you. Big shouts out to you, everybody in the room here. Once again, Dozy, Cal J. Shiv, I see you hanging in there with us. Clifford, appreciate it. Zang Ziming, Amber, Gabby, SRV, thank you for staying in there with us, Treasure. Along with Off Grid Pod, Crypto Queen, my co-hosts here. Y'all take care. Have a safe week. God bless. Thank you. We 13. We out. We not me.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.